Greetings, viewers. Do you ever wonder why about 50% of the population in Quebec want to separate from Canada? Well, that's an interesting question. Well, before I blob about this more, you always click this video because you want to see the fall of New France, obviously. Obviously, this was the main reason why, well, technically the main reason why the French in Quebec hate Canada so much and want to separate. So let's begin. You're probably thinking, oh, because the British conquered the French during the time of New France, and the French didn't help New France, so they were doomed to fall. And this was shown a lot in World War I, where many of the French protested against the idea of conscription, because why should they help the English? They conquered New France, and why should they help the French? Because the French didn't help them during the time of the invasion, so I don't think they would see a reason why they should help Canada at all fighting World War I. Well, anyways, let's get started. Before we begin the fall of New France, we need to know some background information. Up here over here is Rupert's Land, which is controlled by the Great Britain, let's call it. And over here is the 13th colony. And here, obviously, New France. And this province over here is Acadia. It was France's second colony, and it was an important colony to the French. However, in 1694, Acadia has fallen to the English, unfortunately, because it was attacked from 5 sides and it was doomed to fall one way or another. However, in 1697, there was a truce and Acadia was returned to France. However, in 1713, France lost a war against the Spanish, and therefore they had to cede much of Acadia to Britain. After Acadia was ceded to the British forced the people to either become part of the British or leave, meaning as in like getting away from their French traditions to English traditions, and many people did not want to do that, so then they left into the other parts of New France or deported. Before 1713, the British tried to launch an invasion on Quebec. Unfortunately, that was a disaster. It went horribly for the British, so therefore the invasion was halted. Now that we know the background information between New France and Great Britain, we know that their relations are no good. Therefore, the 7 Years' War was the main reason why New France fell. It was the significant event that caused New France to fall into the British hands. During the 7 Years' War, because France suffered a major defeat in the Ohio Valley, Lake Ontario, and Lake Champlain, the British took that advantage to wipe out New France, basically. So starting off in 1758, when Louisbourg fell to the British Army, Quebec was very vulnerable to a British attack. Now, the invasion of Quebec is a very interesting invasion. The British tried to siege the city through navy many times. However, the French's garrison, city walls, and their steep cliffs gave the French an advantage to destroy the British fleet. And therefore, with the British noticing that they failed and the French continuously reinforcing that steep hills they are defending, the British took that advantage of what they're doing to go around that steep hill into the plains of what we call, I believe, the battles of the plains of Abraham, which a major general named James Wolfe landed undetected at night on September 13th, 1759. Unfortunately for the French, they were defeated by the British army in the plains, even though they had fought for a while in the plains. Because they reinforced that hill so much, their city was being swarmed while they're still defending that worthless hill. Eventually, they had to surrender, and because they're fighting for nothing, and Quebec fell to the British in 5 days after the Battle of Abraham. However, the battle wasn't over yet, as some of the survivors escaped to Montreal. They returned to Quebec in 1760 and defeated the British, driving them back to the fortifications of Quebec. Well, unfortunately, a British fleet arrived in May and destroyed the French. And then later in the summer, they went and converged Montreal, and then Montreal was doomed to fall, and that was it. In 1763, the Treaty of Paris ended the war, which all of New France was ceded to Britain, and that was the end of New France. But what it did to the French that are currently living in what we call former New France, what it did is they basically created another section that is like New France, but they wouldn't just call New France, New France in Britain. Like, that doesn't make any sense because it's France. So then they just called it Quebec because their capital was Quebec. I mean, why not? And then some follow-up events occurred, and I guess I'll talk about them. So in 1773, there was a Boston Tea Party in the 13 colonies, which led to, well, let's just say, the spark of the rise of America. And then sooner or later, the British extended the borders of Quebec. I think it's because of American threat and to avoid troubles with the French. Otherwise, you will see Quebec what it is today. Thank you everyone for watching this video. You have no idea how nervous I was when I was making this. It's my first time doing this, so I don't really know what to expect and what I might expect from the viewers. So please bear with me. Don't be mad if there's any mistakes I made or any missing significant events that occurred during the fall of New France. Please comment below and provide any suggestions I could do in the future. I may do something like this again in the future, but that depends on how this video turns out. If it doesn't turn out great, I probably won't do another one. But in the end, you're probably going to ask me what are my views on Quebec. Well, really, I don't really know how to answer that question because I don't really want Quebec to separate from Canada, because maybe the British did treat the French very harsh back then, but you can't deny what has happened in history. So also, as a side note, this is not to insult anyone, because this is history and you can't deny what has happened in history. Okay, back to the point, back to the question. So really, I don't really want Quebec to separate from Canada, because if Quebec separates, okay, it may have increased the French's happiness, but like, if you think about it on a logical point of view, like, how are they going to manage themselves with their own whatever so-called government or nation leader or something? Like, if they remain in Canada, at least they'll be supported more, and then Quebec won't be isolated soon, and maybe they'll regret separating. But the outcomes are very hard to predict, so we don't know what could happen if Quebec does successfully separate from Canada, but I really hope it doesn't. Just like Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who doesn't want to separate Canada. I remember he mentioned something about his name is half English, half French and thing. But other than that, I don't really know. So in the end, if you enjoyed this video, please give that a thumbs up at the bottom, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see more of this. And like I said before, comment if you need to, provide any feedback that you could, and maybe list any mistakes or significant events that I forgot. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day.